two things I wanted to go through. First off was we're eventually going to go through escaping out of turtle and kindle guard and various things we looked at last week, just a further idea on it. There is a benefit of wearing the gi. And the second part is, more important part, is this idea of breaking posture. So if you think that the two ways that you're ever going to generate power in jiu-jitsu are through your connection to the ground and your posture, and it's a mixture between the two of them. So you can't not generate power through the ground. You have to push off something to generate power. Like, I can't just, if I was on water and you were on water, we were both in boats and I pushed you, we'd both kind of float off in kind of equally. And if I wanted to push away in this room, I could put my feet on the wall, not that one, and push away. But because I'm not near a wall, all I have is the ground. So no matter what I do to push, like if I want to push my feet away from guard here to push you away, it's my friction of my back on the floor which is going to allow me to kick you. If I was on a skateboard and pushed, I'd just go rolling away. So however I connect to the ground is going to be how I generate my force. Same as like if I've only got my knees on the, like that conversation of like that people have with Preet of, do you go seal feet, non-seal feet? I don't fucking care. Just what are you trying to accomplish? Like if you're trying to push something, it makes more sense to not be here and to be on your toes, because at least I can drive like that. Same as how you posture yourself. Oh, hello. Same as how you posture yourself when you're in guard. As in, are you trying to go forwards? Are you trying to base yourself out so you can't get rocked? Or are you trying to drive in towards them? In that case, how you go driving towards them? Are you going to have your leg turned in, leg turned out? What makes the most sense? It generates the most force for you. And aligning yourself. But then the bigger part of it is your posture. And that's your, your alignment of your spine and your joints. And one thing I didn't maybe fully appreciate was the idea that before every technique can happen, there has to be a posture break. Now, some people come in with shit posture and don't have power to generate in the first place. But people who do have posture, you have to break that posture to be able to do a technique. And so the prime example of this is with a triangle. So, oh my God, I'm not going to do it because my back is fucked up. If I go for a triangle on Adam, so even if he has his posture down, but as long as his back is aligned and he's pulling his shoulder blades down his back, even if his head's all the way down here, like bringing your chest down, even there, it doesn't feel right to try and close this triangle up. Even though I'm like, it looks pretty fucking obvious. Even if his arm's all the way forwards, like still put your shoulder blade down your back, it's still an absolute fucker to collapse. I have to break his posture to do anything. Same with guillotines and many other things. So the way I kind of liken it to is like imagine what was that, Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, Tekken kind of thing, where you've got the health bar and you've got like a posture stamina bar underneath it. To like do any sort of attack on someone, you've got to like destroy the posture bar, which allows you to like damage the health bar. Most people don't even have a posture bar, so it's like, it seems really easy. But then you come across some fucker who does have decent posture, and you've got to break that posture constantly while maximizing your own. And considering that jiu-jitsu is a game of power, any other sport, posture is important. Even cricket, like if you're going to fucking smack a ball, you've got to have posture to do it. Yeah, in here, we kind of ignore it. The only time you hear posture is maybe from a Gracie Barra saying like, posture up in close guard. But it's same with any sport. If you want to generate the maximum power, weightlifting, rowing, cricket, baseball, whatever, you make sure you have a good, correct posture. So all I want you to do is basically have like a very simple round of sparring, not anything heavy. And I want you to just be focusing on your posture, like your alignment to the ground, your connection to the ground, and the alignment of your spine. So making sure my neck is fucked. Nothing to do with this. Making sure your spine is aligned and your shoulders are down your back, not collapsed, just down your back here. And see how it feels to try and attack someone in various scenarios when they just have good posture. If you look at most of Preet's shit, It's just posture that he's using. Like he just finds postured places just to dick with you. So Running Man, all those kind of things. Hawkins, he just has Baby Bridge. He just has posture. So feel it. Go into a posture. You will, some issues will come out of it. I want to see what happens. But just feel how awkward it is to fight someone who's very conscious of their posture. If that makes sense. So just a regular round of sparring. It's the first thing we're going to do, so keep it nice and relaxed. Just be aware of your spine the entire time and your alignment, and feel how difficult it is to actually deal with someone. Allow yourself to get put in stupid situations, like that triangle there, if you want to feel it. As soon as someone has a decent spinal alignment and their shoulders down, it's really hard to finish a triangle. Do that, and then we'll have a further conversation on how to use it then. So if that makes sense, grab a human or something that resembles one, and just have a small round of sparring where you're just going to maintain posture. Off you go. So, feel weird? Feels really weird. And it feels stupid for how simple it is. So you've got you've always got your beginning position, your beginning position. You then do your setup, your hand fight to get past the periphery, the arms and legs. So that's something we always establish. Once you get past the arms and legs, what comes next? And you're looking for control over the center mass, control over the spine, essentially control over the torso, which is where this always came from, this idea of blocking access to the torso and not letting anyone behind your head or behind your knees. But then you think, why? The reason you get those grips of around the body or back of the head, etc., is so you can get purchased to break their posture. And so it's kind of like it's that next layer in, we get access to center mass. Why? To break their posture, to break their alignment, to break their power for a second, or as long as we can. And whilst that power is broken, we then do our technique, do our submission or whatever. But trying to do techniques on postured people is really fucking hard. And like I say, it's as simple as just be aware of your neck, keeping that line directly from your top of your head down to your ass, keeping your shoulders back and pull down your back. Not like chest proud, but just a natural, like you're going to do rows or something like that, just a naturally good stance. And then just trying to break that is really difficult. And everyone did it, that one. And again, it's the majority stance that you'll find in every other sport where you try and generate power. Yet here we kind of sacrifice good posture for just trying to get shit done. Which then makes it dead easy to then submit people. So for example, I like that idea of the posture stamina bar is the more you tire someone out, the harder it's for them to maintain posture. And also, the more emotional they get, the harder it's for them to maintain posture, the more undisciplined they become. Like if you can have a really good upright stance and make some fucker shoot in with poor posture, you can guillotine them relentlessly. Not naming anyone, but but I wanted to go through a bunch of techniques now. Choke scenarios, etc. I mean, rear naked choke, you're definitely probably going to find that fucker. But guillotines, arm bars, kimuras, omoplatas, anything you really know. Even leg locks. Someone sent me a video on this. Jordan, who I do one-to-one sessions with, he sent me a video of Jeff Glover just standing there, I think inviting someone to leg lock, Ben Eddy to leg lock him. And all he did was just not allow his legs to be turned. And he just pushed him off. I think he's standing there perfectly upright in front of a 10th planet black belt, which I guess, I don't know how much that means. And if Naki was doing it to me, for Naki to sweep me and go for a leg lock on me, he's got to unalign my knee in some way. So if he goes looking for a deep single leg X, with a deep reap, go for it. He's got to turn my leg in. And whilst I'm postured, I can just get rid of him. It's only if he swings my leg and makes me break posture at my hip. So if he swings it deep. Yeah, now I'm exposed. Now there's a problem. But if I can just keep aligned, nothing happens. He's got to unalign me. Same if he wants to sweep me, he's got to unalign my hip this way, and now I go out. But if I don't let him do that part and keep postured, it makes his life awkward. Same with everything. That's why we do a lot of the twists at core joints like the hips and shoulders, is because we're trying to unalign the spine with those initial joint connections. But if you can adjust your posture to deal with that, they fall apart. So I want to go through like a bunch of shit that you know. Armbar setups, darces, guillotines, triangles, all those kind of things. But try and attack someone who hasn't had their posture broken and see what happens. So pick a bunch of different, positions, and you guys obviously don't have much to play with, so maybe come mix in with the other guys so you can actually have a look and see what they're doing. But pick a bunch of shit and do it against someone who hasn't had their posture broken, who just has good posture throughout, and you realize it's fucking difficult. Like we have to assume that the other person just has no posture for half this shit to work, or you have to actively be breaking their posture for things to work. But feel it. I think you'll be interested in the results. Off you go. Sorry. Side control shit, all that shit. It's fucking infuriating. All right. Thoughts, feelings, emotions?
Just another layer now, it's another layer on top of fucking the other shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was trying to find the right word, but Jiu-Jitsu is an onion.
Just layers and layers of shit you have to get through. But this is what the thing then is that there's two ways. Well, not two ways. There's multiple ways you go break their posture. I say through them getting emotional and just losing discipline. That's a way. Tiring them the fuck out, which is way easier if you're on top. Or catching them doing something out of desperation that makes them do something with poor posture. But if you fight someone who's got good posture, I say this again, it's this idea of game of power, is that if you fight some strong fucker with posture, that you've got more of a posture bar to break. If you're against a weaker person, you're going to have a much easier time breaking their posture, especially if you're a stronger person. And it's just one of those unfortunate things about jiu-jitsu. But if you're a smaller person or anyone fighting a bigger person and you're doing it with poor posture, you're already losing. Like, you've got to at least have something. And I just felt there, like, so many submissions and attacks just fall apart. The second you try and attack someone, just maintains their posture, which is so frustrating. But also I say it then makes you consider then that if nothing's going to work unless you do a posture break, it makes you want to attack their posture relentlessly. Like, keep that posture bar empty of theirs, because then you can just whittle away at their health relentlessly because they've got nothing to defend themselves with. And if they want to generate power, like if I want to push with my feet on the floor here, to be able to push with my feet, I've got to align myself to drive. I can't do it with my spine all fucked up. Like, if I want to do a decent kick, I align myself the moment before I do it. If I try and do it with poor posture, I don't get anywhere near the same force out of it. And so if you can keep their posture broken throughout the entire roll, it's like you're making them fight with like half the handbrake on. Like, they're doing the shit, the car's going, but it's sapping fuel out of them, and it's not going anywhere near what it should do. And I was playing with this idea the other day of knack, is that as soon as I got on top, or even on the bottom, I was constantly fucking attacking his posture. It made it, like you say, a lot harder to try and get any sort of momentum going on me, because I'm maintaining my posture and just fucking with his constantly. And this is actually interesting. The reason why I'm kind of happy we're in gi is that this idea of 3D control is that a way out of a lot of these situations, like running man or turtle, etc., or even Kindle. For someone to control me, they need to be able to wrap around me quite effectively and get control on the other side of me from where they are at. Like, so if Charles put it really well. So if Adam was standing here, is that if he's standing like this, grabbing here doesn't help me, but grabbing here does. Like grabbing the other side of him, because now I've got control over him. I've got 3D control. But that kind of does fuck all. I can't really pull someone here unless I use the gi. Because this is how Charles explained how Rog kind of fucked him up. Is that when he was trying to break his Kindle guard, he was grabbing his gi here, which then gives him an extension of his grip that reaches around to this side. So then he could break him using his grips. Like you go for like a body lock on the floor, but not actually having to grip all the way around. So same as, like if I'm trying to get up out of a situation, let's say if I'm in turtle here, you're in turtle? As long as he doesn't let me control the other side of him, he's kind of all right. Is that if he becomes aware of this and grabs hold of my hand to deny it, he's now got a route he can escape. He can just go that way. Yeah, exactly. And even Dan kind of said it at one point, is that when he was explaining ankle locks, a seminar I went to many years ago, like if I go for an ankle lock on you, is that if there's a gap between my heel and my knee, there's somewhere for him to escape, because I haven't got a wraparound control. If I open that door, that's where his leg's going to go. He's just going to pop out the side. But as long as I close that door, he's now got to make a door to get out of, which I thought was, this has kind of come back around to bite me in the ass. So anytime I'm trying to get out of like Running Man or Turtle or Kindle Guard or any of those things, I just become aware of, are they controlling me in a 3D way? Like, where are they? Where's the other side of me? Do not let them control there. I'll hand fight it to death to give myself a route out. As long as I mix that then with posture and not breaking it of my own accord, growing my posture, making sure my posture is good, and then denying the 3D control, that kind of gives me a route out of everything. It's amazing as well, like if someone does get 3D control over you and then breaks your posture, even this preach shit dies. Like Running Man was like I remember Wim doing this to me about 4 years ago. Is that even though I was in Running Man, absolutely, they could still get control behind my head. And if I just do that, and Adam now tries to get out, he's got to do something, he's got to regain his posture to be able to do it. If I keep his posture broken, by getting a 3D control, top and bottom of him, I'm not even cradling him, but it's goddamn miserable. Yeah. It makes you really appreciate, like, oh my God, I've got to keep my posture all the fucking time. Even Keenan kind of mentioned it when he was talking about worm guard years ago, is that when I get my worm grip on the lapel, he mentioned that how you got to imagine my grip here being an extension that wraps around to the other side of his back. I'm getting control over his back by grabbing the front of him here, which allows me to pull him around. So even then, it was kind of explained the same way. Like, this is a control here. You can feel it pulling along your back. Exactly. The judo guys, the way they mentioned it, the way you grab the gi in line with the armpit. Because here, a bit too slack, here, a bit too slack, but completely in line with the armpit, tightest part of the gi that pulls around the back. I'm like,
Underhook?
yeah, it's an extension of an underhook. That's why we do all the things that we do. And so feel this idea that to escape, be aware, like, again, do a little flow roll, like relax, roll, don't go nuts. But as you try and get up off the ground, again, you have to keep the roll kind of slow for this because you need to be able to investigate what you're doing. But deny the 3D control. Deny them getting control over both sides of you. In the gi, it's a lot more complicated because you'll be able to feel, oh shit, that's where the gi is extending to, and that's where it's pulling. Like someone could be here, but the extension of their grip can be here, if that makes sense. You feel that pull. So you have to be way more aware of your grip breaks. But feel that kind of, don't allow your posture to be broken. Don't allow them to break your posture. And then try and find your way out. But then have a few rolls where, a few instances where someone's attacking you and they're just breaking your posture relentlessly, and then feedback like how fucking miserable it is when you're not allowed to get that posture bar back. It makes rolling way harder. And again, when we talk about like stuff like turtle, like if I want to get hooks in and he's in turtle, like if he's postured, he's got a good back and he's got a good close, like it's gonna be very hard to get hooks in. But if I can like fuck with his posture relentlessly, it now makes it way easier to get hooks in. Because I'm fucking with him. I'm breaking his posture and balance over and over and over again. It makes it really hard for him to keep his posture, to keep the door closed. So feel it as well where you are just breaking their posture and feel how easy it is to then attack them. Because then that'll form how you then play jiu-jitsu. You don't just go set up, submission. You go set up, posture break, submission. And you keep the posture break going the second you make contact. Make sense?
So that should be your kind of, your baseline setting is posture breaking.
Yeah, all the time.
Relentless.
Yeah, Kazushi, posture breaks over and over and over and over again. Like if you want to do some shit, posture break them first and then try and do your shit. But have that kind of investigative role where you keep your posture, you become aware of the 3D control, and then posture breaking each other relentlessly and feel how difficult it is to actually get anything fucking done when your posture's been fucked with over and over and over again. Make sense? Feel it, like spend some time on this because I want to really investigate these ideas, and then we'll feed back in like 10, 15 minutes. Off you go.